What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a really cool file sharing open source project called Palmr. Let's go ahead and jump in and let me show you the ins and outs of this awesome project that I think needs much more exposure. And that's where you guys come in. So if you're looking to share files, publicly, privately, whatever, this is definitely something you should consider. So when you first set up the software, we're going to be presented with this login screen here. So let's go ahead and fill out our very first user. Just going to go Ben, I'm just going to put J, I'm going to put username Ben, email address Ben at synacktime.com, and pick a super secure password that no one will ever guess. Cool, user was successfully created. Let's go ahead and jump in. And in. Cool. All right, so the first thing you'll notice is this is your cool dashboard. But if you go to the main site, you will be presented with kind of a home page, and I want to show you how to kind of get rid of that and make it your own, which is kind of cool. Because let me show you this right here. Let's say if we sign out and we go to the home page, this is what it looks like, which you may not want this to be presented whenever someone arrives on your site. You can customize that. Let's go ahead and go log in. I'll show you everything about it and how to do that. So from here we have a basic, just a file upload space. So let's go ahead and upload a file real quick, and we can drag it either to the desktop here, or we can click on this window and just go ahead and upload something. Let's just upload some images right here. Those would be cool. And hit upload. That one I'll get rid of. That was looks like this affinity photo. All right, so we'll be finished, and you can preview them here as well. So let's take a look at that. We have preview, edit, download, and share. So we hit preview. That'll show us a nice little preview of the image. It'll also do other documents too. I think it does like PDFs really well. I don't know if it does Word. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do things like that, but it does like the common file types. It'll give you a little bit of preview. Well, let's take a look at some of the other options we have besides preview. We all know what download does. We'll look at share in a second. If we hit edit, that will give us the ability to give it a name. So maybe we want to, instead of calling it me, we'll just do like the GPT avatar or something like that. And file description too. All right, so we changed that file name. That's kind of cool. Let's see what it does. This is another way to do edit. That's kind of a quick way of editing. And if we add a description, will be like a avatar generated with ChatGPT. Excuse me if I sniffled a little bit. Man, allergies are kicking my butt. So, all right, let's zoom out. So go. We have a little description there. Let's see what happens when we go to share. So now we have the ability to share, so we can give it a share name. A description is optional, expiration date, maximum number of views. So if you only want to view a certain amount of time, and we also have the ability to set a password. Let's just go ahead and share it 5 times, or a maximum view 5 times, and hit create share. So now we have our link alias, and that is editable. So if you wanted to just be something else like Ben Chat GPT, we generate link, and now here is our link. So we can copy that. I'm going to close it. And let's open up an incognito window, or private browsing, or whatever they call it under Brave. Private. All right, let's paste that in. And so here is our shared file. We can preview it here as well. We have a download option. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Cool. That's pretty cool. I hope you dig that. I think that's pretty neat. All right, so let's close this out. And if we refresh, it doesn't really give us too much information. Let's look at share, and you just have the ability to reshare it. You do have recent shares down here at the bottom. Let's take a look at that. So here's our recent share. It created, expires never. Status was never expire, 1 file, 0 recipients. And we can also, it looks like we can edit this a little bit too. We can edit the link. We can change that. We can manage the files. Let's see here. So looks like we can add additional shares to this link. So that's kind of cool. Edit file, we can add it. Okay, so it gives you the option of just adding additional files to that share without having to reshare it. So it doesn't look like it's just a one file share kind of thing. It looks like kind of almost like a folder. But that's neat. Let's see, view details. All right, so let's see. We kind of see all the stuff that we are thought we would. We see the link. We see when it was created. We see the maximum number of views and no recipients. I guess you could specify recipients, maybe like share it with specific accounts in the system. That's kind of cool. And yeah, we can download and copy the links. All really, really basic stuff, but very, very cool. Let's see, let's check in. My shares, just another thing altogether. It's just another one of these, another different way to get to the same information. This is kind of cool. I'm going to save this one for just a second. And you can view all the files that you do have on the system. You can view them kind of a thumbnail kind of view. That's very, very cool. And all right, so before we jump into the admin section, I do want to show you the receive files. This is, I think, one of the coolest features. It is there's a different service that offers something very similar. It's basically you generate a link and you give the link to the person that wants to send you files, and instead of them having to create something like this, it gives them a website that they could go to and just upload those files, and those files will be given to you. So let's do this. Let's create one of these. I want to show you this. This is so cool. Let's do this. Let's say files for bin. We can change the layout. So let's take a look at this. So we have the default layout, or we have the Wetransfer. So I'm gonna do the Wetransfer style because I think that's a lot cooler. The default layout, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. We have a configure options here. So this our configure expiration. So we can choose for the link to eventually expire. We can protect it with a password. That's kind of handy. We can configure file limits. So do you want to limit the, looks like file limit, no limit right now. We can uncheck that, and we can limit the number of files that can be sent. Let's make it like 5. Maximum file size. This is very cool. So if you want to limit that, we can limit it to a certain number of, looks like probably, yeah, megabytes or gigabytes or terabytes or petabytes. Dude, no way. Cool. All right, and we also have file types, very handy. So if you just want to accept certain, like if you want to do it only images and you don't want someone to upload a bunch of executables, you can do that too. Field requirements. It looks like optional, and the email is also optional. So yeah, you can require a name. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's definitely cool. I'm going to put optional for both of those. And let's create a receive link. All right, so this is our receive link. It's generated for us. It looks like you can change this too. So we can be like bins, files, or actually I was like files for bin. And there we have our URL. Let's create that. If we zoom out, we'll see a list of all the different links that we had generated for receiving files. And you get a little bit of stats on here. You can, looks like you turn it off and on. You can choose whether to make it at public or require a password. So I'm just gonna leave mine public. And then you can go in and you copy the link. You can edit it, which I assume, yeah, takes you to the exact same thing that we just were at. Let's copy this and let's do our incognito window again. I want to show you how cool this is. All right, let's paste in that. And here we go. We have just a very basic web page, and I believe the background changes every time you refresh, maybe. Yep. And now we just choose the files that we want to upload. So this one says 5 of 5 remaining. Let's do this. Let's click on this. We're going to drag this up and we're going to upload a picture of this JPEG. And I don't care to put my name or my email address or a description. These are all optional fields that I have chosen. Let's hit send file. Cool. Files automatically sent. If we refresh the page, we see we have 4 or 5 left that we can upload. But if we go back to our page here, let's see, let's refresh this. We see that we have received 1 file. So that's 1 file there. I believe they also show up under our dashboard, under my files. Nope, they don't. I was mistaken. You can copy them there. So let's click on this one right here. We see that there was uploaded this poison PNG. It was uploaded by Anonymous. We can, I think, get a little information about it. Nope, it's just Anonymous. That's okay. We can preview it. We can copy it to my files, so that'll add it into my files list. We can just download it or delete it. Very cool. Let's click on copy to my files, and that has been done. We click out and go back to our dashboard, and under my files, there is our poison vial. That's pretty cool. That's very, very cool. Last thing I want to cover is just a little bit of the administration side, and not a ton of options to configure. However, the ones that are there could be important to you. So let's click on my profile here at the top. Let's just go down the list a little bit. We can go to my profile. We can create a username, password. We can enable MFA, and that's using a QR code to be used with like an authenticator app. Pretty badass. Moving on, we go to our settings, and I believe these are the settings for the entire site. So this is your admin. For general, we have the application. So if you want to remove the logo or change it, let's remove it and let's change it to this little vial here. So cool, check it out at the tippity top of the page. We got a poison vial, Palmr. And let's change the name. We'll be like SYNACK files. Awesome. And this right here, check this out. Show home page. So if you don't want it to show that cool little page kind of saying, hey, this is Palmr, then you can uncheck this and it won't show that anymore. And you can also change the description. So let's hit save. Let's open up our incognito window again. And let's go to Palmr at SendAnywhere.com. And there we go. So instead of showing you the home page, it just shows you the login screen. So pretty cool. I don't know if you can change the theme. You might be able to. I'm sure you, at least if you modify files, but that's kind of cool. Maybe that's something that's future release. This is version 3. It is a beta, but this guy's been doing it for a while, and there's been some significant improvements to the software. So I am totally a big fan. For our email configuration, out of the box, we do not have any sort of SMTP configured to send out email, but you can set up, a Gmail account to do that for you. It supports encryption and all the fun stuff that you would need in order to send mail securely. So if you want to send somebody an invite to a file or something like that, that would be a good thing for you to set up. Next up, we have our authentication providers. This is very, very cool. It looks like they have done a lot of the configuring for us. So in order to enable one of these, let's just check this box, and we'll probably need to be doing a little bit of configuration. We need to set up our client ID and secret within Google, but looks like official provider, this optimized for Palmr, only credentials can be modified, but that's pretty cool. That's all that you really need to do. So he's done a lot of the legwork for you. A lot of projects can't claim that same thing. Like a lot of them want you to do a little bit more configuration through text files and everything. This guy just says, here's a checkbox, fill in the blanks. Pretty cool. And you have all these other different authentication methods too, like Discord, GitHub. Looks like Kindle. Funny. All right, cool. Moving on. Let's go ahead and make some of these windows a little smaller, maybe. Yeah, thank you. All right, let's go to security. All right, so let's zoom in and take a peek of this. Block duration in seconds to block after exceeding attempts. So very neat. So if someone's trying to hammer away at your site, you can increase that block out. Let's see, maximum login attempts. It's modifiable. You can change that to 5. Minimum password length, and then you have your reset token. So how long is your token going to be valid for? In case somebody wants to steal your token, or maybe you just want them to authenticate every so often and not keep the same token forever. Very smart security settings. Next up, we have storage. So let's take a peek at this. Let's see, maximum allowed files for upload. It looks like it's set to 1. Maximum storage per user, and it looks like that is gig. Okay, so here, maximum file size upload. My bad. So that's not quantity. I was like, 'cause I already exceeded that. These are how many bytes that we can upload in a single file, and again, all the way to petabytes, and then the maximum per user. So very cool, very cool. Last up, and man, we covered a lot. Let's check out the user management. So these are the users that are inside of your system. From here, you can kind of see, hey, what are they? This one is an admin. Let's add a user. Let's just call this Bob Smith, and Bob at SYNACK.com. More secure passwords, create. So the admin role, you're not going to be able to perform any actions on, but a regular user you can. So if you have someone sign up that's not supposed to be there, you can deactivate them. It looks like you can edit them, change their permissions, should they be an admin or not. And if they are an admin, you can probably still edit them. It's just your original admin you're not going to be able to perform any actions on, so that you don't lock yourself out. Always a plus. And we can always deactivate. Deactivate, lowercase, probably. All right. Yeah, it's funny. A little bit of capitalization there. What do you think? Is this something you think you might use? If so, then you're going to love this next part, because I'm going to show you how to set it up. We're going to be using Docker. We're going to be using Portainer and Nginx Proxy Manager, because we want our file sharing to be internet facing. We want to be able to generate a cool URL for it. And that's what we're going to do next. We're also going to be using Namecheap. So hang on a couple seconds, and next up, let's go ahead and spin this up, get it set up. If you don't have the server already configured, don't worry. There is another video that I walk you through setting up your own virtual private cloud server using RackNerd, which is a very affordable service that you can use to self-host projects just like this. They are not paying me to say that. I just like them that much. So, all right, let me switcheroo a little bit, and we'll see you over there in just a second. Well, thank you for your patience. We are ready to rock and roll. This is the official site right up here for our Palmr project. So you can always head off to that site, and he has links to GitHub and his docs page. We can basically go to either one. We can always pull up GitHub and pull the information that we need from here. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Here's our Docker Compose file right here at the top. So don't scroll at all. And so here is the one that we're going to use here, but we're going to make a couple of changes that I will show you in a little bit. We can also go to the main page here, just hit up docs and just do our quick install. And we're going to be using 3.1 beta. And if you scroll down, here is our Docker Compose file. And also, this is very important too, our Palmr UID and our GID as well. So we're going to be setting that up, and I'll show you why in just a little bit. Let's start off with this right here. Let's just go ahead and do the Docker Compose. So let's go ahead and copy this, and let's head over to our Portainer. And I'm going to go back to my page here. We're going to go to Stacks. And let's go ahead and hit add stack. And we're going to just do Palmr and paste in here. All right, so I'm going to go through this. However, I am going to go back to the main page here, and I'm going to grab this and put this under our environment variables as well, because our server does need to have these set. If not, you're going to run into file permission errors, which I'm happy to show you, but this will just save you some time. So if you look, it says this: if you are having problems uploading files, change the UID and the GID to the user ID and the group ID that is running the container. In our instance, that is going to be, I believe it's 0 for the root. However, if you're using it under a different user under your Linux server, just keep in mind that you can use this ID space -u and ID space -g. And that will show you the group ID and the user ID for the user that you are running Docker under. So just something to keep in mind. If not, you may run into some permissions issues. It'll just say upload failed, and then you'd be like, oh, well, I remember Ben told me to set the UID and the GID. He's great. I'm going to save myself some time. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to drop those two variables there. I'm going to fix my indentation. It is very important when you are working within Portainer and with these files. If your indentation's off, it could cause you to have a bad day. All right, so let's do the same thing that we do with pretty much every single project. We're going to take a look at the compose file, and I want you to understand everything that it's doing and not just throw in something without some basic understanding of what's going on. All right, so let's zoom in just a tad bit so you can see. Very first thing that we're doing is we're establishing our service is Palmr. We're going to pull in our image, which is Palmr and the latest version. We're going to name our container Palmr. We're not going to enable any S3 buckets. This isn't optional. You can use Amazon for storage. We're just going to be using our server. Encryption key, change this key in production to a minimum of 32 characters. If you don't have something that can do that, there's this amazing tool called Google, and we're just going to say generate 32 character password. And when you type that in, just pick a random one. Let's see, Bitwarden. All right. And we're going to say, you know what, 38. We are going to go above and beyond the requirements. I'm going to copy this, head on back here, and just paste this in. After I completely mess up the copy and paste. There we go. All right, cool. Again, it's asking for our user ID and our group ID. If you have access to your terminal, now would be a good time to check to see what that is. I'm going to leave it at 1000 and see what happens. If it fails to upload files, then I'm just going to change it to 0, which is, I believe, the ID and for my user ID and my group ID. Next up, we have a couple things. We have our ports. And we are going to be filtering our traffic through Nginx Proxy Manager, which means no exposing any ports from our container. If you do not want to do this step and you don't want to make it internet facing, then just leave these ports open. The same thing goes for the API port. We are not going to be using the API. We're just going to be using the web. But if you did need to work with the API from within Palmr or outside of Palmr to Palmr, then you're going to have to leave this port open. Just keep in mind, you could always filter this one port through Nginx Proxy Manager as well, or you can just leave it open. But there's, leaving ports open, there's always a security risk. Do this. I'm going to do a pound here, a pound there, and lastly a third pound there, and that will comment out this entire section since we're not going to use it. Next up, we have our volumes. They do it exactly the way that I love it. I love mapping the volumes. We're going to be creating a volume called Palmr_data. It's going to point to our app folder and a server subfolder. Our restart policy is going to be unless stopped, which means your server reboots. This thing's coming up automatically and not going to wait for you to hit the start button. And lastly, we are creating our volumes. Very easy. If you've worked with Palmr in the past, the composer file was a lot bigger. He was using all sorts of different services and databases, but with version 3, you kind of consolidated it down into one service, one container. I think it works great. You know, what do you think? All right, next up, we are going to hit the big old ugly deploy button right down here at the bottom, and let's see what we got. Cool, easy peasy and fast. Yours may take a little bit of time, especially if you don't already have the image downloaded like I did, but I came prepared. Next up, we are going to set up our subdomain. So let's head on over to Namecheap. You do not have to use Namecheap. You can use whatever domain and DNS manager that you want to. In my instance, I have SendHow on Namecheap. I'm going to head off to advanced DNS here, and I'm going to create myself an A record. My A record is going to point to the external IP address of my server. So let's do this. I'm going to A record, and I'm going to do Palmr. And when you create an A record, just remember it's going to put this in front of your domain. If you decided that you wanted to have an entire dedicated domain just for this service and you didn't want to do an A record, that is okay. You don't have to. You could just create an A record here and just make this the @ symbol. And that means that anybody that goes to sendhow.com will be redirected to this IP address. And also get rid of this URL director if you have that, because that's just going to cause you a whole bunch of problems. I'm going to get rid of it right now. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep it. Because if you go to SendHow, it'll redirect you to snack time, which is where you should be going anyway. All right, so I need to know what my external IP address is. I'm just going to take it up here from my address bar, because I love copy and paste it here and hit a checkbox. Save all the settings. We are ready to go. We got palmr.sendhow.com forwarding traffic to our external IP address. But now we need to prepare Nginx Proxy Manager to receive that traffic. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Nginx Proxy Manager can actually talk to the Palmr container. So if we go to containers and we go to our Nginx app right here, let's scroll down and let's see what we got. So right now we are not on that network. We're only on the Nginx Proxy Manager network. So I'm going to move my big head up at the top here, and I'm going to drop this network down, and I'm going to join the Palmr network. That will allow my container, my Nginx Proxy Manager container, to talk to Palmr. Without that, it just doesn't have the permissions to talk. Zoop. And now let's go ahead and configure our Nginx Proxy Manager. Going to be super easy. Once we are signed in, let's go to proxy hosts, add a new host, and let's type in our domain. Let's just do palmr.sendhow.com. And now it's asking, where do you want to forward this marvelous traffic? Well, we want to forward it to the Palmr container. Asking for a host name or IP address, always use host name. You don't want to try to track down an IP address if it magically changes. So let's go ahead and copy the host name, which is going to be the name of our container, which is Palmr. Let's paste it in here. Make sure we don't have any white space at the beginning. See that white space? It's going to throw you off and it's going to make you have a bad day. Get rid of it. All right. Next up, it's asking, hey man, all right, cool. I'm forwarding it over to Palmr, but on what port? So we need to know what port is Palmr expecting traffic on. We can find that very easily by looking at our Docker compose file. You see right here. Let's zoom in. This is the same one we pulled from their official website. It's asking for the web port here. This is the external facing web port. This is the internal. Just so happens that they're the same. It's not always the case. So I always want to check. All right, let's paste that port in here. Again, no spaces. I'm going to block common exploits. I'm going to enable WebSocket support. I'm going to hit save. And next up, I need to add a certificate to that because I don't want it to be unencrypted. I know you don't. Let's edit it. Let's go to SSL. Let's go ahead and drop this down and request a new cert. I'm going to force SSL. I'm not going to give you that option, and I'm going to agree to the terms of service from Let's Encrypt. If you did everything right in the order that we just did it, this should go float away and you shouldn't receive any sort of error messages. If you do get an error message, it just says something like error message, a red error box that says something went wrong, then always check your spelling. It's important. Also make sure that you have set up your subdomain correctly. You spelled that right. And that you gave it time to propagate. Sometimes it takes a couple of hours. So try it again later on. For us, it went smoothly, flawlessly. The demo gods were kind. And now we can, I think we're ready just to head over to the site. All right, let's do this. Let's click on this. And here we go. Here's our site. All right, so we need to log in. And again, we're going to do the exact same thing we did at the very beginning of this video. I'm just going to create me a username. I want to know if that user ID needs to be updated. And you're going to know that pretty darn quickly. Upload file, select one, and let's just click on this one right here. Upload. Yeah, worked great. Cool. 1,000 worked. Like I said, if it doesn't, you can always change it. But you would have known if it didn't work, it would have given you a big fat error message. But luckily for us, it did work. Party bonus. All right, cool beans. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it informative, and I hope that you check out this software, especially if you need to share some files or if you need to receive some files. This is a really quick and easy way to give out that link and say, hey, send me whatever files you want to, but don't upload any viruses. So, all right. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, just leave them down below. I really appreciate you spending some time with me and getting to know this project. And I hope you find it informative. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. You guys take it easy. Bye.